Here it fucking is, boys. 2 years after the video announcing it, it's finally fucking here. Rio Isn't Gay Part 3. Now, I want to bring up the fact that the original Rio videos were from 4 years ago, and in those two I was obviously a lot nicer and wasn't as open with my views on the trans issue. These videos were in many respects a turning point on the channel that made me a lot more staunch in my views on said issue, in realizing the reality of just how dangerous transgenderism is as a concept, and just how nonsensical it is as well. But even then, these clips that I recorded later, 2 years ago, to do this part 3, even then I was still nicer than I am now. I'm much more of a fucking asshole now. So, even then there's a couple of things like, I seem like I'm trying to be a little bit nicer. Like, I'm a lot more honest in these later clips. But again, this is a video that's 2 years in the making, that's a follow-up to a video 4 years ago. So, if I seem a little bit nicer on some things than I would now, that's why. Oh boy. I said I'd never go back to this again, explicitly on multiple occasions. But the Rio video is something that has changed the course of this channel, and in many ways my outlook over time. For those of you who are unfamiliar, don't worry, I'm going to explain the first two parts, and in fact show them, likely in their entirety or close to it, in this video. You don't need to see parts 1 and 2, because they will be included. But with this Red Eye Responds, I will be going and doing a final chapter, as it were, to my Rio Isn't Gay video series. Now, there's only 2 chapters of it so far, 2 parts, rather, and what it is essentially a series of videos. By series, it's really just 2, so I guess that probably wouldn't constitute a series, but they're videos where I simply made the point that Rio Asuka, I know it's pronounced Asuka, I don't care, from Devilman, is not gay. And my reasoning behind this was because he is a hermaphrodite. And I'm going to show proof of that in a couple of different things, because people will say, oh, he's intersex, blah, 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 whatever. I'm actually going to show some panels from the manga that actually explicitly use the word hermaphrodite. There's multiple translations, there's fan translations, there's official translations, but I'm going to show both, and both of them make it pretty clear that he is both in their entirety. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. But we're going to respond to it, so we're going to start off showing the first video. And then I will come back after that. And today, once again, I'm going to be talking about Devilman, specifically Rio Asuka, or Rio Asuka, if we want to say it properly. Which I don't, because it sounds more natural in a sentence for me to say Asuka. So that's what I'm doing, as I always say. But anyway, you read the title, so what the fuck am I talking about? You know, there's a large portion of the fanbase that are newer. They didn't, like, it's very clearly new Crybaby fans most of the time I've come across this comment. They call Rio gay. That just doesn't make sense if you know how Rio works. Spoilers, obviously, for those of you who haven't seen Devilman Crybaby, haven't read the manga, you know, stuff like that. While it is true that for the majority of Devilman, Rio is depicted as a man, and while it is true that he is in love with and attracted to Akira, who is also a man, Rio himself actually isn't a man. When he becomes Satan towards the end of the manga, he is a hermaphrodite. Now, some of you may get into arguments between hermaphrodite and intersex. As I've come to understand, intersex and hermaphrodite are kind of different things. Intersex typically actually are biologically male, but have ambiguous genitals. Rio has both sets of genitals, which would make him a hermaphrodite. He is neither male nor female. He has both. Even in the manga. Now, granted, they change this in some versions. I've read 3 different translations of the manga. In one, he says, "As you know, I am a hermaphrodite." In another one, he says, "Because I am both male and female." So, that tells me right there he has both sets. So it wouldn't really be gay, would it? Can a hermaphrodite be gay? And some people may want to argue and tell me, you know, hermaphrodites are inherently male. No, that's most types of intersex, and intersex is also kind of a broad term. In the fictional context of Rio as a hermaphrodite, he is both, equally. And while I typically refer to him using male pronouns because he is typically depicted as a male or more masculine, I don't refer to him as a male, at least not in the context of Devilman Lady. I mean, in Devilman Lady, I don't call Asuka a male, and Asuka basically is the Rio of that series, although she's technically the male half of Satan, which is kind of confusing, but she's also a female for most of Devilman Lady. So, no, Ryo isn't gay. He is in love with and attracted to Akira, but he's not a guy. So, technically he's only half gay. So as you can see, that one was short, sweet, and to the point. And I did touch on the intersex thing, and again, I don't really care to debate that. People would say that a hermaphrodite doesn't truly exist, like a true hermaphrodite within humans. That's irrelevant, because Ryo is literally Satan and is a hermaphrodite. He isn't just intersex. I'll show you right here, right now, with this manga panel. As you can see, what it says is, I'm an hermaphrodite. Now again, the grammar's not the greatest, because this one is technically a fan translation, and I will grant you that. That's fair. I had to censor this because this is YouTube, but he does have tits and a bulge. It doesn't explicitly show anything with the bulge, but due to that, I would say that he probably has both parts. In fact, I would say he definitely has both parts, because he is both male and female. Whether or not the hermaphrodite there is the literal translation, which I'm inclined to believe it is, take a look at an official release that came out here with the Classic Collection. Again, it changes the wording slightly, but with the same meaning. Yes, all proceeded smoothly, precisely as planned. However, there was one wrinkle in our scheme that was not foreseen, and that was your love for the human Akira Fudo. You cared so deeply for him you were willing to sacrifice Ammon the Brave, our greatest warrior, to see him survive. Yes, I know, but that is because I am both male and female. Now, why would he feel the need to say it's because he's both male and female if he was simply gay? Clearly, there's a reason he mentioned the female part. It's because his female half is the half that's attracted to Akira. So yeah, that was actually taken from my official copy of Devilman the Classic Collection Volume 2, which is an official English translation. And again, as I said, the pictures from the other one leading up to it had very similar stuff, with saying it was because he's a hermaphrodite that he's attracted to Akira. Now, I would argue he'd be in love with Akira regardless. He is in love with Akira, but he's not gay. I've been over this before, but that first video, as you can imagine, got me some controversy. So let's look at some comments. He's canonically gay, though. Go Nagai confirmed that he's not attracted to women. First off, they're not saying when Go Nagai allegedly confirmed this, and second off, I think they're referring to this. Let me show you. So I'm pretty sure they're referring to him saying right here that he's not interested in girls, but this is from Shin Devilman, which I don't consider canon. It's lumped in with the original series and every subsequent release ever since the deluxe edition in Japan. But it's a bunch of time travel shit that fucks up the pacing and is really out of place and doesn't make any sense. I've never considered this canon, so I don't really count this. But even still, he ends up with Miki in Violence Jack, so that would directly contradict this. Now, if you're going to be pedantic and say Violence Jack isn't canon, and only Demon Knight, Devilman, and Devilman Lady and Devilman Saga are canon, doesn't matter to me, because the point I'm making is Shin Devilman isn't canon, and so if we're counting that, we have to consider Violence Jack, because it's just as canon, and it's just as legitimate. Actually, I'd argue it's more so, because it's a sequel, not some shit that goes in and retroactively adds in a bunch of shit that wasn't there before. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, Violence Jack is just as canon as Shin Devilman. Neither are actually canon anymore. Then, of course, we had Corbin jumping in, saying, so then that also means Ryo is straight, since Ryo is part female. And, of course, responding back, no, Ryo uses he, him, so that means he's a boy. He has a crush on Akira. He is MLM, which I think means male-loving male? But couldn't you just say that normal? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then, of course, Corbin says, Ryo only refers to himself as male because he has the body of a male, which, again, in normal circumstances would make him male, but he is Satan. He's not human. And, of course, as Corbin further elaborates, when he is back to his normal form, Satan, he calls himself a hermaphrodite. So I think you're wrong. He calls himself a man because he thought he was a human man. And then, of course, we got another response. Ryo's physical form is fully male. He goes by he, him, and overall is male. Satan is intersex. The being that is Satan is more like an extension of Ryo. Yeah, but it's his true form! He's not male! It's his fucking true form! He was shapeshifted into a male in his human form when he had his memories erased. And then, of course, we have... Notice even though you refer to Ryo as a hermaphrodite, you also refer to Ryo as he throughout the entire video. Hermaphrodites usually pick a gender to identify throughout their life or choose to identify as non-binary, to my knowledge, which, by the way, that third thing is utter fucking nonsense. Hermaphrodites are the only person who I would say actually have grounds to argue that, though. But, again, there's no true hermaphrodites as far as humans, as far as I know. Rio identifies as a man using masculine pronouns, being attracted to other men. He's gay. Saying he isn't because of his genitals is transphobic, which, fuck you, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. This video is the thing that made me realize I don't care. Because I used to go out of my way to actually play nice and actually, like, use pronouns people wanted and stuff like that. But these comments made me realize I had to stop doing that. It's dangerous, and it is enabling people to believe their own delusions. And these comments, in a way, helped me realize I needed to be harsher and more honest. Because I never believed someone who called themselves a girl was a girl. You have to have the parts. You have to have the body makeup. Everything down to your bone structure tells you what you are. It has nothing to do with what you think you are in your crazy little fucking mind, and I'm tired of people pretending otherwise. Also, with this argument, you eliminate the entire point behind sexuality. Being homosexual is being attracted to the same sex. Sex is based on your organs and chromosomes. That is literally what it is. It is literally down to your genitals. It is who you want to fuck or be fucked by. It has nothing to do with what they think they are. You're trying to erase the whole meaning of homosexuality. And that's granted, that's what this whole fucking argument is. That is what this argument has been for the last few years. Trans activists are trying to eliminate homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, and then they make up new shit like pansexuality, which is just bisexuality with extra steps. In fact, it's not even extra steps. It's the same fucking thing. You just change a couple of words. Then, of course, we have a reasonable response to that. How is that transphobic? I'm just wondering. And, of course, we got trans people don't have genitals that align with their gender, saying they're not real men or women. Can of that is transphobic. Well, your grammar's god-awful. But, yeah, fuck you. I don't care. And then, of course, we have another one. Also using the term hermaphrodite for human individuals is not very great. Well, he's not human. He's fucking Satan, you retard. In the manga, he told Akira he isn't attracted to men. He also kissed Akira. The only time that I know that he has kissed Akira is in Neo Devilman, which is absolutely non-canon, because in that version, he sacrifices Miki to Rio, and then they kiss, and it's fucking stupid, and I hate it. And then, of course, don't worry, he said no homo. I mean, there we go. Can't argue with that. Remember, gender and sex are different things. The trans movement can't make up their mind on this. Sometimes gender and sex are different things to them. Sometimes sex doesn't exist, and sometimes it does. They change their mind whenever it's convenient to their argument, and for all intents and purposes, they're the same thing. But even if we grant that for sake of argument, they contradict themselves on that all the time. Before Rio got his memory back, he presented as male. There's no such thing as presenting as male. He physically had the body of a male because he was shapeshifted. So assuming he identifies as one, that makes him gay. No, that's not how sexuality works. Also, he isn't even human, he's Satan. Yes, exactly, he isn't even human. Of course, then I responded, not necessarily gay is a sexuality, not a genderuality. It's in the name, so although I get where you're coming from, I completely disagree. I was still trying to kind of play nice with my initial responses back then, but even then, bruh, he's speechless. I got him. I assume it's a guy, I don't care. Not to mention him being Satan and not human might mean that human concepts such as sex and gender, again, I separate the terms here purely for sake of argument. But they're not different things, they're the same thing. Don't apply to him, which would mean gay and straight are also not necessarily concepts that apply to him, so there you go. And then, of course, we have hermaphrodite is considered a slur against intersex individuals, which is why I will exclusively use hermaphrodite now, unless I'm using it in an argument to differentiate between the two. So, get fucked on that. You try to tell me that what I'm saying is offensive, you can get offended, I don't care. Hermaphrodite is a kind of intersex. Being a true hermaphrodite would mean an intersex person has genitalia that shows traits of both a penis and a vagina. Angels have tits and a dick and therefore aren't true hermaphrodites. That's not true. Rio has both. Like, granted, it never explicitly says it, but it's kind of implied. Then comes the issue with gender identity, which is nonsense anyway. Unless Gonagai says otherwise, Rio could be bigender, which is not a thing. Again, with hermaphrodite, they're the one group I could say maybe. But again, true hermaphrodites, as far as I know, don't actually exist in humans, only in animals and only in rare cases, and even then I don't know if they actually do. By the way, bigender individuals can be gay too. No, they can't. By definition, if that were a thing, they cannot. Unless, of course, they're just calling themselves that, and they're actually male or female. In the manga, he literally said, I'm not interested in women. I already showed that. We already covered it. And then, of course, exactly, Lavelle. He also fell in love with and dated Miki. Kick ass. Finally, someone who's making some good arguments. In Violence Jack, he was with Miki. And then, of course, this person says, well, that wasn't really Miki. After death, she turned into a dog. Not literally. She had her arms and legs cut off and was turned into a dog person. That was slang. She was a sex slave. Fucking moron. I'm not even gonna bother with the rest. Saying she's a dog is stupid. Like, granted, it might not be too far to say fuck. Yeah, she got fucked by a dog. That did happen. I'm just skimming this now. You have to admit it's disgusting and by Angel Divas, blah, blah, blah. She was human. She was human. She got fucked by a dog, but she was human. She was what they called a dog person. She does actually get, like, turned into a dog in Shin Violence Jack, but that's a completely different continuity. Rio, in his own right, isn't gay or straight. He's just attracted to Akira no matter what. Even in a spin-off, I believe he was a woman and still was attracted to Akira. I don't know what spin-off they're referring to with Rio being a woman. Maybe they're referring to Asuka in Devilman Lady. Oh, I said the name properly. Damn it, I like to push buttons by mispronouncing it. Oh well. But Asuka is the male half of Satan, but has a female body for most of Devilman Lady until she grows her dick back, because Devilman Lady is fucking crazy with that kind of shit. But she's at best indifferent to Akira, and she's actually attracted to the female half of Satan, which is June, who is attracted to Akira. Has sex with Akira while they're in hell. So it's the female half of Rio, that is June, that's in love with Akira in Devilman Lady, and the same is true in Demon Knight, where Yuria was in love with Ammon. Lucifer, I think, was in love with Yuria. It's been a fat minute since I've read it. Yuria was in love with Ammon. And then, of course, we have all these charming comments. Bro, he likes cock, get over it. Which, again, is not my argument, so whatever. This is the funniest shit ever, okay? I mean, is right to say that he is with Akira, at least, in a gay relationship. They're not in a fucking relationship. What are you on about? It's one-sided. Because he always presents himself as male. Again, I guess in this context, yeah, he shapeshifts into a male. I think that the fandom means that when they say that Rio is gay. And of course I responded, I get where you're coming from. Again, I tried to be as understanding as I could back then, because I used to think that people argued in good faith, which they don't. So I get where you're coming from. I just don't think that that's the right term, because, again, technically he is both male and female. And on top of that, it's possible being an angel, concepts like sexuality might not apply in the same way. Also, I wouldn't call his relationship with Akira a full gay relationship, more of a one-sided, unrequited love, which is true. Not to mention in Devilman Lady, it's his female half, June, that is in love with Akira, not his male half, Asuka. Man literally said he's not attracted to women. Again, same fucking thing as I've covered over and over again, and again, doesn't contradict my argument. Then, of course, we got our boy Chisu, being an angel. He is not human, so gender doesn't really work for him. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Archangel Christia, which has pink robes and flowery designs, but no breasts and big eyes. And when guys say she, I say, did you just assume her gender? I mean, yeah, I like Chisu. Chisu's great. Always a treat to have him in the comments. Then, of course, we have this guy who thinks he's cute, saying, I need to tell you something. And then he replied to himself saying Rio is gay. You can't see the reply because YouTube's fucking filters are retarded. I hate that. It happens, but you can't see offensive replies a lot of the time. The whole plot started because he was in love with Akira. What do you mean? That's not the whole plot. He was in love with Akira, but the whole plot started when God killed the demons. What are you talking about? Him being in love with Akira is the only reason that Devilman was made. Like Devilman himself, sure, that part of the plot I'll grant you. But he would have brought demons to destroy humanity anyway. Not to mention, he was under a different identity with his mind erased. As far as he knew, he was fighting the demons initially. But his initial plan was to get revenge on God by killing the humans because God killed the demons. I'm crying, this has to be fake. Gay is an umbrella term. No, it fucking isn't. Meaning attraction to the same gender. Same sex. Gender and sex are the same thing. And Rio is androgynous, both male and female. Yes. He uses he, him pronouns. Okay. So even if he was attracted to a female, he would still be gay. Yeah, actually, kinda. Is he was attracted to a non-binary person still gay? I mean, non-binary people are just insane, but yes! Attracted to a man, still gay, and Akira is a man, so yes, he is gay. I mean, if you're going by that logic, he is both gay and straight simultaneously. So in that respect, kind of. But you're missing the point. I'm saying it's not that simple. It literally says on the wiki he's gay, and then of course Andy popped in to point out that that website is written by fans, and that is true. But the manga isn't. If you read it, it says he's gay. It never uses the word gay. Never does. Not once. If it does, show me a panel. Show me a fucking panel they use the word gay. Show it to me. I'm trying to figure out why you need to rant over something as insignificant as people's interpretation of a fictional character's sexuality. Same reason anyone does a fucking video essay on anything. And granted, this was kind of a half-joke video. I literally ended it by saying, well, he's technically half gay. So it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. And it wasn't very long either, so it's not like it was a lot of effort. So, the same reason anyone does a video on fucking anything. Bro, what is this? Isn't he canonically gay? What does that even mean? What does that even fucking mean? Did we watch the same show? There's a lot of these. Screw the whole plot? Ain't no way. And then, of course, we got Corbin again. Corbin jumping in saying, I guess TikTok viewers don't know what hermaphrodites are. So, this one I'm going to explain a little bit. I think the reason this video exploded so much is somebody clipped it and shared it on TikTok. There was a comment that kind of said something to that effect, but that comment later got deleted by the person who posted it. So I think that's what happened, is somehow someone clipped it and shared it on TikTok. I've never used TikTok. I refuse. But that's what Corbin's talking about there, because I kind of talked to him about this as well. And then, of course, we have someone saying, yes, he is. Great argument. If you think he isn't gay, you missed the entire point of the show. No, the entire point of the show is humans against demons, and it has an anti-war undertone, and it is a story of attempting to save everyone and failing miserably. Devilman at its core is an action tragedy with horror elements. Rio being in love with Akira is simply one plot point, and he's not gay. No, he's gay. He is an intersex male. He's not a male. Go reread the manga and rewatch the show, but with your eyes open this time. No, I understand it. You just don't understand my argument. He'd kissed Akira in Neo Devilman, yeah. And I guess it's technically true that he did kiss him in Devilman Saga too. But that was when he was dressed as a female. Again, he is technically female as well. But when he was in a female form, just fucking with him, trying to play a prank on him. And he kissed Akira. Akira didn't, kiss him back. He was just doing it to prank him. And also, it hurt his feelings that Akira didn't reciprocate. We watched the same series. See, again, there's a lot of these. That was literally the whole point of Devilman. Bro, why do you care so much? Holy hell, he's just a gay little man. I mean, I care because words are important, and I realize that people are trying to redefine words, and that is bad, because if you take away all meaning that words have, then they have no meaning, and then we're just stuck with nothing meaning anything, and so laws don't matter. You have terms like women in law, and now that means nothing. So laws can be bent and stretched to be whatever the fuck someone wants it to be if words don't have set meanings. I understand that English is a living language, I do. But there are certain things that are based in fundamental reality that is objectively true, and to try and twist that and change it and erase the meaning of words like gay are part of what is the problem with this movement. Rio is canonically multigender, but he's interested in men. I would headcanon him as pan, which isn't a thing, but he is canonically gay, which, again, no, he isn't. Did we watch the same show? Again, see, so many of those. So true, bestie, speak your truth. You're cute. Wait, he has a point. Hell yeah, see, there we go, we got one now. He is gay, Rio is a boy kisser, he uses pronouns he, him. Why do you care so much? Oh my lord. Again, that's such a weird argument the trans lobby always does. They're like, why do you care? Well, it's like, why do you care? You see what I mean? It's just not an argument. Some weird shit here with this person, I don't know, doing some fan fiction of being into Akira, or being into Rio. I don't fucking know what's on with this one. Have you ever heard of someone being trans? And then, of course, I responded with a snarky, you mean like Rio isn't? Because he's not. Bro, he literally is, though. Gay man. Have you even seen the series? Did we watch the same Devilman? Oh, boy, did you just forget the manga exists. Sussy susses, Not a lot of arguments here. Norm's garbage out that someone who is a little bit I'm the little bit too heterosexual, and sometimes I get overly aggressive. I hear your voice and your understanding, and I love you and I appreciate and love you honesty about you. I have appreciate done or any and all circumstances. That's what it is, man or girl, or what the fuck ever. I just lost 6 brain cells reading that. It's canon, get over it. No, it's real, yep, it sure is. Homophobe, I don't even get that one. Like, you're calling me homophobic when I never once said that homosexuality is wrong. Girl, he uses male pronouns, please. Bruh. Lamau came from TikTok. Hey, we found it! There's the one. There was a response to this comment originally that got deleted. It was the response that got deleted, where someone said, no, I didn't mean for this to happen, or something along those lines. Get it, sis? Oh, lord. What the fuck, man? 1, he prefers the usage of he, him pronouns. Doesn't fucking matter. This obsession with preferred pronouns is one of the most questionable things to me. Because pronouns are not terms that you use yourself, and they are not terms that people use when they talk to you directly. They are terms that someone uses when they talk about you to a third party. The obsession with the usage of them is so confusing to me, it boggles my fucking mind. Just say you headcanon him as bisexual. I mean, I guess he would be bisexual, but that wouldn't be a headcanon. Or would he? I don't know. It's confusing. He's attracted to Akira. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what his sexuality actually is, other than the fact that you're just simply using words incorrectly. Guess what? And then, of course, I think that got deleted as well, but I think that person also said Rio is gay in response to themselves. Rio is a boy. He is a boy. Rio is transgender. No, he's not. I swear, Rio could have given Akira's upper half the big Gok 3000 and you would have still believed he was straight. I never said he was straight. The entire story was Rio's love for Akira. Also, sex and gender are different, which they're not, and also that isn't the entire story. Rio identifies as male the entire time, not the entire time. He does when he's in his human form, but when he becomes Satan, he realizes that he's not. So yeah, that's the first video. It's already up to over 20 minutes. We'll see how much it is after editing. But let's go ahead and watch the second video. So this one I'm going to stop along and maybe make some comments here and there. And the only reason I'm doing this is because there's a lot of comments that try to contradict me and say that he is. And I expected fully as much. But there's actually a couple of points that I realized that I could have made but didn't in the previous rant. So just a summary, right? For those of you unfamiliar, Ryo Asuka is the character who is Akira Fudo's best friend, and also is later revealed to be Satan. And when Ryo is revealed to be Satan, it is revealed that he is both male and female. He is a hermaphrodite. And then later in Devilman Saga, he's intersex, which is kind of a different thing, although sometimes hermaphrodite is considered part of intersex. I'm not entirely sure if they're going for, like, intersex meaning ambiguous genitals, or if they're using intersex as a more polite way of saying hermaphrodite in the context of Devilman Saga. But we're not going to talk about Saga right now, but we will bring up Lady, because that is very important to my argument today. Like, at one comment I saw, someone said, oh, well, gender and sex are different, and therefore if he identifies as male, he is male, so he is gay. First off, I'm not going to argue that. I probably don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because I don't want to get too, I guess political would be the term with that. As you can see, I was much less willing to talk about politics back then, but the reason I didn't want to get into it is because I don't believe that sex and gender are different. They are effectively the same thing. The thing people use to say gender and gender identity is a term that was mostly made up by a man who mutilated children and horribly sexually abused them, named John Money. There was a couple other people who contributed to it, all of which were pretty terrible too, but John Money is the most notorious, and he's the one who coined the term gender in that context. He's a man known for cutting off a little boy's penis and making him have sex with his brother, so, you know, or at least simulate sexual positions. And this man is looked at as a hero by the trans lobby. I don't get it. And I will say that gender roles definitely are a thing that can be separate from actual biological sex, for sure. But to pretend that there's no correlation between the two is just being ignorant. And what I meant by that is there can be feminine men and masculine women. That's absolutely true. And women can take on masculine roles in society, but they will never be men. That's just a fact. And while there are certainly, you know, arguments to be made about, you know, gender and sex being different things, because I think in a way they are. I don't agree with that statement anymore. Like I said, I was a lot more willing to concede certain points back then. Not so much now. Now I'm much more vicious with it, I should say. I'm much more honest, and I'm much more objective about it. I do not think there is any difference whatsoever between gender and sex. Gender roles and things like that, sure. But actual gender is effectively the same thing as sex and has been treated as such. It's only a relatively recent thing that they have been called different. Obviously, there are people who are not, you know, comfortable with their own body, and they do suffer from gender dysphoria, so that's a whole other thing. And that's the term that people were using recently, gender dysphoria. But actually, before that, there was a term gender identity disorder, which I think is actually much more accurate. Gender dysphoria implies that it's a problem with the world around. They're physically in the wrong body, whereas gender identity disorder rightly acknowledges that they are not comfortable with their body, and it is a mental condition rather than a physical one. But that doesn't matter, because Ryo literally is not transgender either. He is straight up both male and female. He says it himself. Also, when the person said that, they said if he identifies as male. Now, this is getting semantic, but you can't identify as male. You can identify as a man, but male is biological sex. So if you're using the argument that sex and gender are different, you can't conflate the two by saying he identified as male. You can't identify as male. Male means you are born as a man. You are born physically male. And that's the point I was getting at, is they can't make up their damn mind if gender and sex are supposed to be different. They say you can identify as male there, but that male is the biological sex, even by their own definition. So they get so confused with their own definitions that they just can't make it right. It just doesn't work. You can identify as a man. Sure, I'll let you do that. That's fine. That's not my business. And it's not like you need my permission to do something. If you're crazy, you can be crazy. That's your fucking right. Now, a lot of other people say he's canonically gay, though. No, he's not. He's canonically attracted to Akira and attracted to men. Yes. Although in Violence Jack, it's heavily implied that he was in a relationship with Miki in that continuity. I saw another comment where someone said he's actually confirmed bisexual in Devilman Saga. I don't recall that. That might be further than I've been able to read. And the main reason for that is because fan translations of Devilman Saga currently only go up to chapter 43. Another argument, and getting into Devilman Lady now, a lot of people don't realize this because maybe they haven't read Lady, or if they have, they haven't put two and two together to this. Asuka, the male half of Rio, is not attracted to Akira, couldn't give two shits. And in fact, Asuka is attracted to the female half of Rio, being June. Now, June, the female half of Rio, is attracted to Akira. Therefore, its logic would denote that the female half is the one attracted to Akira, meaning that it's not the male half, meaning it's not gay. It's the female half of Akira, or it's the female half of Rio, excuse me, who's attracted to Akira, not the male half. The male half of Rio is technically attracted to the female half of Rio, because they actually, they do the thing. in like the final couple chapters of Devilman Lady. And not only that, but they're also like brother and sister in that incarnation, so it's really fucking weird. He's not gay. I don't know why everyone thinks that that's the case. Like, I would say maybe he's not straight, because is it possible for a hermaphrodite to be gay and straight? I don't know. That's a complicated question. I mean, hermaphrodites in that regard, if they even are real, I've heard people tell me that that kind of hermaphrodite isn't real. But in the context of this universe, they are in that way, because I know intersex is in fact a thing, but hermaphrodites as they are in fiction, I have heard some people try to tell me don't exist, and I can't prove that one way or the other, though I have not, researched at length exactly how hermaphrodites work. I also remember someone else made the argument that hermaphrodites are inherently male. I think they were actually thinking of intersex, because that's the argument I was having. This was on a different video where I was talking about Blue, and they said that hermaphrodites are male. They just have, and like they didn't use the word hermaphrodite. They kept using intersex, and I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes from, because they also they're the person who told me that hermaphrodites in that sense don't exist. But in the context of Violence Jack with Blue, that is a straight up hermaphrodite, just like Rio. It's not an intersex. It's someone who has both. It's not ambiguous genders like intersex. And that video on Blue also got me some similar comments. You know what, fuck it, we'll show that now. Now, one thing that's very interesting about Blue is this is something that's kind of debated amongst the fan base, but it is also kind of accepted. Blue is a hermaphrodite. Now, there is some people who think that she may be transgendered, but I am almost certain she's a hermaphrodite just because many of her characteristics imply that she is biologically both male and female, especially in the manga. So yeah, being a hermaphrodite, she is both male and female. The female characteristics are most dominant, which is why I tend to refer to her as she. There has been some debate on the true gender of Blue. Some say she was born male and became a woman, while others say the opposite, though the latter is highly unlikely. Using the manga pages, we can see she has a bit of what might be female genitals underneath her rather large male organ. Also, when Jack sliced off her left D cup, there was blood and no sign of silicone or other breast implants. Furthermore, in the anime, her big breast jiggled as though made of real and soft breast meat. When she jumped when Jack was about to behead her, so her big soft bouncy bust is real. Though it is possible for transsexuals to develop breasts to that naturally sized through early use of hormone therapy, this evidence leads us to believe that she is a hermaphrodite/intersex who was born with the ability to develop breasts and possessing both male and female crotch parts, instead of being born one and changed to the other. Blue is likely just a hermaphrodite with both male and female primary sex organs, penis, vagina, but only female secondary organs, breasts. And that little bit did get me a little bit of comments in the comment section below, but nowhere near to the degree that the Rio one did. For instance, someone said Blue is a trap, period. Then someone, of course, responded the correct term is intersex. And then hermaphrodite is accurate. And intersex. And then, no, that's the PC term. The correct term is hermaphrodite. It's not politically correct, it's medically correct, as hermaphrodism describes an organism with both reproductive capabilities, self-gestation, for instance, which is an impossibility with human beings. Biologists don't even use the term hermaphrodite anymore to describe intersex people. Again, this is where you get into a lot of the complex stuff, right, about hermaphrodite, but hermaphrodite is a word to describe a person with the characteristics that are both male and female. It is literally the same thing, it's just people prefer saying intersex since it sounds less offensive. Hermaphrodite is still an outdated term that has fallen out of favor. It's not just the intersex community, but the medical field. The problem is that it isn't offensive, it's inaccurate. If an intersex person wants to reclaim the word hermaphrodite to describe themselves, more power to them. When, again, anyone can use any term, fuck you. When someone who isn't an intersex wants to reinforce the term to describe a community after years of rejecting that term, that's nothing short of invasive. It's not invasive, it's just using words, fuck you. This isn't about being PC or screaming out my hurt feelings, but standing ground for our autonomy. Fuck you. That's doing nothing to your autonomy. This argument's interesting, and is, again, a total tangent, because it has nothing to do with Rio, but it is in the same field. The word isn't outdated. It just, ever since the LGBT community became bigger, they started making up new words, /labels, to try and sound more professional, special, and less offensive. It's like the words gay and queer. They're basically the same thing, except one is more offensive to some. I took 2 gender classes, and I can honestly tell you that a lot of these terminologies are bullshit and supported by pseudoscience, which is true. This guy is absolutely 100% right. This guy is 100% based and quite red-pilled, if I do say so myself. Gay and queer aren't the same thing. Yes, they are. In fact, queer has been reclaimed by the LGBT community. Good for them, I don't care. To be used as sort of umbrella term to describe not just sexual variation, but variations of gender expression. Fuck you. And experiences. Then, trust me, you're only getting a fraction of queer experiences with 2 classes. I understand your logic, but I don't reach the same conclusion. I mean, this person's not completely unreasonable. They're definitely, like, leftist with the trans mindset and the queer mindset and all that. But they're still being more reasonable than some of the other people. Yeah, unlike some of the students who are wasting time and majoring in gender studies, the truth is that people take these words way too seriously and just lack common sense. Regardless, whether you label Satan as intersex, he identifies as a hermaphrodite. Okay, we're bringing Satan... We came back to Rio! Look at that! Hell yeah! Which, let's be real, is the same shit. Also, 2 classes are more than enough for me to conclude that the gender studies is absolute bullshit. Again, I like you, King Egyptian. You're my favorite customer. King Egyptian, you're right on that account. Considering the human condition does not apply to Satan, plus Satan literally fucked themselves, Jun Fudo and Manasuke. See, this person actually does know what they're talking about. So again, they're not completely unreasonable. To resurrect Akira back into the physical world, although in the original Japanese to English translation it explicitly stated as either, aren't you surprised, don't you know that I'm a creature of both sexes? There you go. Or both male and female. See? There you go. You know what? Char, darling, you're alright. We disagree on this, but you know what? You're all right. You do kind of know what you're talking about. All right, that's enough of that tangent. With all of this, another key factor. One of the people who brought up in the comments, who said that Rio was gay, rather, they said because he's Satan, he's not even human. Exactly. So shouldn't that mean that maybe concepts such as gender and sex don't apply in the same way? Because he's not human, because he's technically an angel? Isn't there that a possibility to make the argument that he is not gay, and in fact... It's looked at a different level with, divine beings like that. Someone did bring up a point that, he is depicted as male throughout most of the series, so that's probably why people make that assertion, saying that he is gay because of that, and I could see an argument to be made there, sure. But I just don't think that gay is the right word to use there, because it just doesn't make sense given the context of the character. And that same person also tried to say that he's in a gay relationship with Akira, which, no, he fucking isn't. He is in a one-sided relationship with Akira, maybe. Like, Akira is not into Rio in that way. Akira loves Miki. And that's abundantly clear. He also might love Siren, kind of, because in Devilman Saga, he does kind of get a little turned on by Siren and think about her, and I have a feeling they're probably going to fuck, and he's probably going to cheat on Miki with Siren. I don't know, I haven't seen that far ahead. I've read up to chapter 43, which is as far as has been translated that I've seen, and they haven't straight up done the deed, and Akira is married to Miki, so clearly Akira isn't interested in Rio, and I hate it. I fucking hate it when people ship Rio and Akira. I don't get that at all. Rio destroyed Akira's life. He killed everyone he cared about, and he killed Akira. Yeah, people who actually ship Akira and Rio don't make any sense to me. It would be the most toxic of toxic relationships, because he literally destroyed the entire human race, including Akira, killed the woman he loved, killed him. It wouldn't work. And Rio, realized too late that he made the same mistake God did in wiping out an entire species. That's the tragedy of Devilman. Like, that's why I hated Neo Devilman so much, and I haven't read the whole thing. I've only read one chapter, and it wasn't one of the guide chapters. That's why I'm going to give Neo Devilman a chance and read all of it before I do a review. But the first chapter of Neo Devilman, Rio's like, Akira, you should sacrifice Miki to me, and then he does. And then they kiss, and I'm like, no, abso-fucking-lutely not. But yeah, that video was a lot longer, and I was expanding on the first one, mainly. But there is actually some comments to this one, too. Not as many, but there's still quite a few. So we'll start with the first one. And again, this is going in reverse chronological order. The other one was going by top comments, and then I scrolled through and found some more. Again, YouTube's filter system can be kind of annoying. Hey, this video is a bit old, but I wanted to share my opinion. Rio/Satan has no sexuality. In the sense that, yes, he is not gay, but he is not straight. Either because he is not attracted to other men, not attracted to other men or women, because he just can't be attracted to humans since he hates them all. Just to Akira, he only has eyes for him. Very true. He loves Akira because Akira is Akira, not because Akira is a man. If Akira was a girl, Rio would still be in love. As long as Akira exists, Rio will love him. And we see that in Violence Jack, since Akira doesn't exist and Rio has lost his memories, he can also love a woman, Miki. Technical, minor nitpick, and first off, I agree with everything you've said so far, but Akira did exist, he was just Jack. But Rio fell in love with Akira when he didn't know yet that he was a hermaphrodite, and he really thought that he was a man. That's probably why people think he's gay. For me, I just think that Satan/Rio is Akira-sexual. Smiley face. Also, when you say that in the manga it is specified that it is the female part of Satan who loves Akira, I think that's not the case, and that the feminine and male parts of Satan both love Akira. Again, my logic based on that is based on Demon Knight, and to a much greater extent, Devilman Lady. The thing is, Japan in the 70s wasn't very open about sexuality, and so Go Nagai had to give a heterosexual justification to Rio's love for Akira by saying, no, he's not gay because it's his female part who's in love with a man, not the male part of him. Again, so you're proving my point there, if Nagai put that in that way. And that doesn't make too much sense, because we know in Demon Knight how Satan was born. It's a fusion between Lucifer and Uriah. Yes. We also learn there that it is the personality of Lucifer which dominates. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. As when Akira had merged with Ammon, Ammon does not dominate the spirit of Akira, but he is nevertheless a part of him. Akira is different physically after this merger, but he hasn't changed on the inside, although Ammon is part of him now. When Lucifer and Uriah merged, Lucifer changed physically, but did not change on the inside. So yes, Satan has a female part, but it's not dominant. Satan is a man mentally, but he's a hermaphrodite physically. Again, I agree with most of what you said. I do think that you make a good argument that both halves would theoretically be in love with Akira. So this one actually is a good argument. This is the kind of comment I would like to see. This is good. Then, of course, we got, this is transphobic. And then I, of course, got tired of responding to all the ones calling me transphobic and stuff. I'm sure there was a lot more that got, deleted because of YouTube's autofilters, which I have no control over. I never delete comments unless it's a spam bot. But I replied, I'd be more apathetic if I wasn't so lethargic, which is a Family Guy quote, but I thought it would fit since, I would have more energy to not give a shit if I wasn't so tired, Nah, Rio gay, At this point, just say you hate gay people, bro, he's gay, get over it. What are you even on about? Why would I hate gay people? I have nothing against gay people. I don't like the invasive LGBTQ movement, right, that wants to change the meaning of words and introduce a bunch of newspeak bullshit concepts, but I have no care in the world if you want to fuck guys or girls. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. Sexuality labels are not important. He liked men and not women. That's it. You don't need a label. You can refer to him as queer if you don't agree with gay. Queer and gay mean the same thing. So now you're just splitting hairs, and if labels weren't important, why are you replying to me? Alright, here's some constructive criticism because you need some. Before making a video, my recommendation would be to make some research. I mean, it's fair that I could have, done more in, preparing for the initial videos, but the thing is, they were unscripted, off-the-cuff rants. And it's a source material I'm familiar with because I've read it over and over and over again. So I didn't really feel the need to research it, and that's fair. You can criticize me for that. That's actually a fair point. It's obvious that this video was made quickly without any proper research put into it. I've read the source material over and over and over again. I think that's fine. You need to make research if you want to make a good argument, otherwise the argument falls weak. When you're talking about a sensitive topic like sexuality and gender, I don't even care if it's fucking sensitive. I do not care. You should search for the proper vocabulary to use. The terms/labels that are offensive, you should avoid those. No, fuck you. That's exactly why many people refuse to use the term hermaphrodite for Rio, and that's why I exclusively use the term hermaphrodite for Rio. There are also terms/labels that would fit your descriptions, and using them would help to transfer your ideas more clearly. Not only the terms, but also the correct definition should be researched too. Your definition of intersex is off. Again, I keep hearing all sorts of contradictory shit about intersex, so I stopped caring about that a long time ago. Reading scientific articles about sexual identities and people whose gender identity or sex fall outside the male/female binary would have been helpful for this specific video. No, I'm not going to ask a schizophrenic how the world works. Not literally schizophrenic, but you know what I mean. It's the same concept. Another thing you should do is rereading the source material, which I've done. You mentioned many times in this video the details you remember from spin-offs or sequels might be vague, and again, that's fair. For instance, for this one, I made sure to pull out a bunch of shit for the manga and stuff, and I actually looked over some stuff before recording this. But it has been a minute since I've read Demon Knight, and I really don't like Demon Knight all that much, so it's been a fat minute since I've read it, so I'll fully admit that. And that's fair. That is a valid criticism. That's not the right attitude to have in your argument. It is if it's not my entire argument. If you pull up shit from those other source materials and show them to me and say, hey, this contradicts you, I'd be like, okay, sure, fine. A good argument requires extensive knowledge on the source material you're basing it on. Again, I think it's a little condescending that you tell me that I need this constructive criticism, but I also do genuinely think you are operating in good faith. I actually think that you're being as reasonable as you can. I still think you're an ideologue, but at least one of the more reasonable ones. There's more? You bet your sweet bippy there is. There's a part 2? Damn straight! Bro and the creator themselves confirm something, just let it go. Why even bother arguing? What the fuck do you... he's canonically gay. The creator says he's gay. Show me the fucking quote. Show me the goddamn quote. You need a job, a girlfriend, some friends, a diet, hell, something. Got me. Burn. And then Anthony responded to it, but his comment gets filtered out by YouTube because YouTube's retarded. And Anthony said something to the effect of he gets way more puss than you do. And then this guy Stevie said, not with that hairline he doesn't. And of course I had to say lol to that, because that's a good burn. Not with that hairline. That's good. How do you think Rio would view his own sexuality? Satan's consciousness is locked away. Rio, knowing only his life on Earth as Rio Asuka, believes that he is biologically both human and male, and he loves only Akira. I know some people don't like to label things, but that's what we're doing here. So if Rio had to, how do you think he would identify? Isn't it highly probable, by that extension of the other things that he believes of himself, that Rio would also believe himself to be gay? Yes, you are right. That is a valid argument. That's good. Reasonable. See, this is the discourse I like. I still don't think he's gay, but he probably thought he was gay prior to getting his memory back. Rio probably thought he was gay prior to it. That is the kind of argument I like to see because it's actually constructive and based in the lore. And we got Chisu again. It's probably just the Yaoi fans saying he's gay to apply their fetish to him, like pairing up Ed and Roy in Full Metal Alchemist, or Roy and Rick in Robotech, or Huck and Jim in Huckleberry Finn. This is why I like Chisu, because he just says what he thinks and he doesn't give a shit. I respect the hell out of him. I mean, he does identify as male, because Rio is technically male as his human form. True. He's so straight. And then, of course, I said clearly you didn't watch. Not even saying he's straight, he's just male. He's both male and female, so gay isn't the right word. He's so straight with all the emojis. I thought, this person comes across as being, condescending to me there. But their username literally has the word faggot in it, which you don't see with a lot of leftists, so I'm a little confused by it, to be perfectly honest. Alright, now after these 2 Rio videos, I did one more follow-up, which we'll look at here. It was the turning point. It was when I decided, I'm going to say what the hell I want, and I'm not going to care. And so we'll take a look at that. This video is entitled, Why I'm Glad My Audience is Relatively Small. Today I'm going to talk about something that admittedly was brought on because of what happened earlier today, which I'll get briefly into, but not too much, because I want to move the fuck on from it, and I really don't care all that much. I'm honestly pretty happy with the size of audience I have. If it gets bigger, I'll still be happy. Don't get me wrong. But I never want to, like, hit it super big, because I like having a niche audience of people who like a lot of the same things I do, and are okay with some of the bullshit I put out. That said, I just don't think I gel well with, like, a mainstream audience. It's just, it's not in my nature. But earlier today, I had a lot of people coming and commenting on a video I did several days ago, if not like a week or so ago. A video I did talking about Ryo Asuka from Devilman, and whether or not he is, you know, gay, straight, whatever. Again, my whole message was, you know, it's complicated because he's neither male nor female. And a lot of people jumped on that. Apparently somebody shared the video on, like, TikTok or something. So I got bombarded with a fuck ton of comments today on that video, and I uploaded a second part to it today, further expanding and explaining my points. That one got fairly decent amount of views, got a few dislikes, but nowhere near the amount of dislikes as part 1 did. So that video got flooded, and the reason I made the follow-up is because it got flooded, so I was doing it to address points that I didn't clarify and try to be more concise on why I think what I think. But the point is, that was like a mainstream audience from TikTok, and the reason I say TikTok is someone commented came from TikTok, and then someone else commented, I didn't mean for this to happen, so I think that's probably the person that somehow shared it on TikTok. I don't really know how TikTok works, because I don't use that site. Fuck that site, but based on the way it works, I'd say they would have had to have clipped it, and then uploaded a clip, and then people came to the original video because of said clip. Yeah, that happened, and, a lot of the comments were fucking stupid. A lot of them were, you know, just a lot of, oh, did we watch the same series? And, a lot of them were like, just calling me transphobic or homophobic, which is like, Ryo isn't even trans, that's a whole other thing, and he's not even human, and he's a fictional character, and I don't know how you get homophobia out of that. People were saying I was saying, like, gay was an insult. No, I was not even implying it was negative. What the hell are you on about? That was a whole thing. It's like, whatever. There were plenty of people that were very reasonable and brought up good counter-arguments. And I will fully acknowledge that, and I appreciate those. There were people who brought up the point, you know, Ryo, if he didn't have his memory, what do you think he would think his sexuality was? Because his human body was biologically male. Fair point. You know what? I can't argue that logic. Gay works in that scenario. And that's why I say, well, maybe he's gay in his human form, but in his actual angel form, it's a little bit more complicated. That's the conclusion I've come to. Again, Satan being his true form is why I still say he's not gay, even after I acknowledged that way back then. But that's a whole other thing. I'm just happy with the audience size I have, because having a huge audience, I think, would just be chaotic like that. Because here's the thing. If that video offended you, and it offended a decent amount of people, I'm probably not the kind of content you're looking for. Just putting it out there. If, on the other hand, you disagreed with me, but you were still willing to give me a chance, and you were still polite and reserved about it, like most people, like, not most people were pretty toxic, but, like a lot of people were, then I don't got a problem with you. And, you know, even if I don't think my content's right for you, that's not my decision to make. And I'm not saying I don't think my content's right for the reasonable people. All the reasonable people are fine. I thought all those comments were perfectly fine, and I enjoyed the conversation. The people who were just saying shit like, well, he's canonically gay, it's like, did you even watch the video? Oh, it says he's gay on the wiki. You know fans write the wiki, right? That's not official. And the most annoying one was all those people saying, did we even watch the same show? Which I think has confirmed for me that the majority of the people who think this way and are this toxic are in fact fans of Devilman Crybaby, and not just fans of Devilman overall. And obviously they've probably become interested in more aspects of the series. And I'm by no means saying I understand where all of them are coming from, because a good chunk of them probably are familiar with the expanded Devilman universe as well, especially since a lot of them did bring up the manga too. A lot of them also brought up this point in the manga. They think that Ryo says that he doesn't like women. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could very well be wrong, but as far as I know, that line is only in the Shin Devilman chapters, when they're back in time dealing with General Custer and they're with the natives. As far as I know, that is the only time Ryo has ever said in the manga that he does not like women. I could be wrong. He might have said that at some other point. So, if he did, fair enough. And Shin Devilman, a lot of people probably don't even realize, if they're newer fans, isn't part of the original manga. It was added in the deluxe edition and every version after that. But, you know, I like my audience I have, because I have regulars that view me all the time, and I enjoy interacting with them. And, like, there were people that tried to lecture me on the idea of, like, gender and stuff like that, and that's a topical issue. That's something I obviously do have opinions about, as I think everyone has at least an opinion one way or the other. Yeah, like I said, back then I was a lot less willing to talk about the fact that trannies are fucking crazy. Like, it is a mental illness, and it is something that is perpetuated because it's popular. It's a trend thing. It's the hot new thing is cutting off your dick. And that's fucking stupid and dangerous. But this is way before the Valakai saga, where I would just openly just start fucking talking about this stuff regularly. Because these were the things that pushed me to be willing to do stuff like this. If it wasn't for the Rio video, we never would have got the Valakai saga. I'm certainly not against anyone being who they want to be. I am against them fucking mutilating themselves and doing irreparable damage to themselves, and I'm also against them forcing other people to kowtow to their delusions. The point is, if that video offended you, this channel probably is not for you. I'm being straight. Like, if you want to still watch it, I'm not stopping you. I welcome anyone to my fan base who enjoys my stuff. Anyone is welcome to watch my videos. I'm not an asshole who says you can't. And people who disagree with me, I do not condemn, nor do I consider myself above. I'll admit, I was kind of snarky at first in some of the comments. Like, there was one comment, now granted, this one came several days ago, where someone brought up, you know, sex and gender being different, and I got snarky, and I said, well, it's homosexuality, not homogenderuality. Well, no, I said I think being gay is a sexuality, not a genderuality, which was snarky, and maybe it was a little bit of a dick move. I'm not going to apologize for anything I did. That's just not in my style. While it's true, I can get along with anyone regardless of their beliefs. I'm still going to fucking say the truth, and I'm not going to fucking lie to make someone feel better. But my intent with that video was not to offend. It was a fun one-off tongue-in-cheek rant about Rio. That's literally all it was. It was not meant to be taken super-duper seriously. It was a tongue-in-cheek analysis of a fictional character, and it was unscripted, it was off the cuff, it was just me bullshitting. And it was just fun. And I literally ended it by saying he is half gay. That was kind of a joke. I mean, it's kind of true, but it was kind of a joke. Like, that was it was a tongue-in-cheek video. I don't know why people got so upset by it. But that's the TikTok audience for you. I'm not a fan of TikTok. I'm not making any secret of that. But I talk about things on this channel that I want to. And sometimes I've talked about politics. I'm not a political channel, but I have. So that is something to be aware of if you're from one of those people who came from TikTok. You're probably not going to like a lot of my stuff. With politics, I have a center-right position, and I've made that pretty clear in my political videos. I've definitely become a lot more right-wing since these initial videos, but I always had a right-wing slant. I just became more honest about it and started to think about things more. But I've absolutely always been right-wing to some degree, other than when I was in high school and went through a fucking socialist phase, which was fucking cringe and gay and we don't talk about. That doesn't mean I condemn anyone who is further left or further right than me. I think anyone is fine as long as you're good people, I'll get along with you. But that is something to be aware of, and there's a lot of people who are very politicized and won't accept that. And that's fine. That means my shit's probably not for you. That said, I do welcome any new viewers who have joined because of that. If you stick around, hey, I'm happy to have you here. Let's talk about some fun stuff. I'm not going to talk about the Rio drama anymore. I'm over it, dude. Like, I didn't really care to begin with. I think it's funny that I had a video that was fairly well received with like 6 or 7 likes and no dislikes. And then within a day, it gets 18 likes, so I got more likes added to it, but then 51 goddamn dislikes. Holy Jesus. Whatever, not a big deal. I've gotten plenty of videos that I thought were fine that have gotten massive dislikes, like the moral oral one where I talked about close face, that got some flack. Or the South Park pilot one that was legitimately bad because it was made using unrelated gameplay. You know, I'm a big boy. I can take it. If you came from here, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you decide not to stick around, I completely understand. I'm a chaotic mess when it comes to shit I do here. Like I said, I am not a political channel, nor do I ever intend to be. But I wouldn't say I'm a political channel trademark, but I definitely talk about politics quite a bit now, so obviously that's shifted a bit since then. But yeah, that video was the turning point for me. It's when I realized I didn't want to appeal to the mainstream audience. It's when I realized I wanted to just be myself and be fucking honest. And that's what I've done ever since. On a bit of a side note, I do want to say Go Nagai just tends to have a thing for hermaphrodites. He had Blue in Violence Jack, he had Rio. Not really a hermaphrodite, but he had Baron Ashura, which is a man and a woman cut in half and fused together, so kind of like a hermaphrodite, so that one's kind of weird. He also does have cross-dressing and a bunch of other weird shit in his series, because Go Nagai likes to write about deviant things or delinquent things. And so that's the way they were treated in the original mangas he wrote. With the growing acceptance of these things, a lot of the original meaning gets lost, and so people try to apply modern-day logic to stuff written forever ago. These were stories written with these seen as a deviancy, or at the very least, delinquency. They were not considered normal things. These were considered just being odd, and done for the sake of being odd, and done for the sake of being incorrect, for doing something that is seen as taboo or bad. These were not supposed to be things that were seen as normal. That's the way they were intended when they were written. Whether or not that's the right thing is not really the issue we're talking about here. What we're talking about is the intent behind the writing. And due to the fact that this stuff wasn't as widely accepted as it is now back then, whether right or wrong, makes it so that you can't apply modern-day logic to something written in 1972. That was 50 years ago. 50 fucking years ago. You cannot apply modern-day logic to it. It just doesn't work. I've talked a lot about this Rio thing. I keep saying that I'm going to get over it and just shut up about it. But I keep realizing I have more to say. I don't really care that people comment on it every once in a while. Every few months I get a new barrage of comments. And I didn't cover anywhere near all of them today. I covered all the ones I could find. But the problem is, YouTube filters out shit. I have it set to not do that. But it still does. It's one of the most frustrating things about YouTube, because I want this discourse to be open. Even if I choose not to participate in it. I want people to say they think I'm a total piece of shit when they think I'm a total piece of shit. Because that's their right to say. I've made my views on the trans thing very clear. Rio isn't trans, but definitely that brought up the argument and made me realize I need to be honest about it. Transgenderism is a mental disorder. I think just hacking off your body parts to fit your mental disorder is a bad idea. But ultimately, I think you'll come to regret it when you get older. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's unnatural. I wouldn't encourage it. And I would actively discourage my friends from doing so. I don't call people what they want to be called. I call them what logically makes sense to me. I use the correct pronouns based on biology. That is what I do. I don't compromise by using their names when I'm talking to people. Instead, my compromise is to not address them. Now, granted, names are something you can assign to yourself, so if it's someone I meet after they've transitioned, I might call them by the name they want. But if it's someone I knew beforehand, I just can't bring myself to do it. It's not who I am. And trying to compel me to do otherwise is wrong. It's compelled speech, which I won't stand for. And the pushback to these videos has only made me want to do the exact opposite. Anyone who's tried to get me to be nice and empathetic and all that wonderful shit have just made me more and more of an asshole, because I've realized these people have been coddled way too goddamn much. That's not what this issue was about when I first made the Rio video. I didn't give a shit about transgenderism back then. I thought it was a non-issue. I still had my same opinions for the most part, but I didn't consider it important at the time. Now I think it is one of the most important issues facing our society, and I think it's dangerous. I think removing all meaning from words causes all sorts of problems in the legal realm, and in just trying to talk to each other on a lighter note. I think it causes problems, and ultimately, I think it leads to tyranny. Now, you can call that cringe when I use the word tyranny there. That's fine. That's your right to do so. But it is. Forcing someone to use the words you want them to use, at the threat of imprisonment in some cases, not here, but in Canada, you can get arrested for it. People get fined for it. That kind of shit happens. And this movement gets pushed onto children, and that's dangerous, because children don't have the mental capacity to make those decisions. I would argue adults that have gender identity disorder don't have the capacity to make those decisions either, but in a legal sense, that's them. I can't do anything about that, and frankly, I think at a certain point, you just gotta say, well, they're a lost cause. But a lot of the things that they do to kids is irreversible, and people say, oh, they're not doing it to kids. Yeah, they are. Not on the same level as they are to adults, but they're getting there. And that's the way this movement is. It's a slow, subversive, invasive movement that infects every single part of culture and turns it into something it's not. This went off on a lot more serious of a tangent than I had initially anticipated. But this is such an important issue I felt I had to. And for the last time, Ryo Asuka is not gay.